What are legal ways to make money that don't require a moral compass? NSFW. Literally, you can write a program that just takes demo games, replaces the name and some other text/image assets with something from a random sample of assets, automatically add advertising with an ad service, uploads it to the Google Play Store and makes money from the random advertisements. If you are a little more scrupulous, you can actually make the game first and just publish 15,000 clones with ads. Facilities maintenance dispatcher. I worked for a company that would sign on contractors and technicians, and our clients, stores like Walmart and CVS, would give us work orders for stuff they'd need done. A lock repair, a clogged toilet, lights are out, etc. We'd call the contractor and describe an issue and send them a work order. They'd go do the work while we'd constantly call and harass and badger them to get it done as cheaply, quickly, and well as possible. Sometimes sending techs into hurricanes to put sandbags at store doors. The company I worked for would be on billing terms and promise to pay the contractor/company after 45 to 60 days. Most of our techs never hot paid. I was technician resources, so I was responsible for taking calls from techs who wanted to complain. I would get hundreds of calls in an 8-hour day. Most of them saying they did thousands of dollars of work under contracts with us and they haven't seen a dime. It was essentially my job to tell them that our accountants couldn't take their call and a check is in the mail. Many techs would tell me that there were companies like ours all over the US and they all do the same scummy shit. If you get paid at all, it might be 6 months to a year later if not more. If you Google ServiceCom, and read the reviews, you'll see. I'm comfortable saying that because they changed names and tax IDs and everything, and now have close to zero online presence and no Google business listing. The company is listed as permanently closed on Google, but they're still scamming contractors to this day. I do not miss that job. I hated what I was doing even before finding out what a bunch of shit it was. Even more so now. Edit, now SMG Holdings. I have also been told that what they are doing may in fact be illegal, but people can't seem to agree. I don't know. But they're a-holes. I worked for a place that tried that sort of work for a bit, as it seemed promising. Get a job to do 30 minutes of work, all the materials handled, in-out, done. The biggest issue we had was that every one of those jobs was a 4-hour ordeal. Not because of the actual work part was generally 30 to 60 minutes, as expected. What sapped all our time was the login/logout procedures and documentation. I get needing to have proof documented and needing a login/logout time, sure, but rather than something automated you had to talk to a genuine human to get logged in or out. And apparently they only had one person doing it, as you sat on hold for 60 to 90 minutes waiting to tell the person you were about to start work or had completed it and were ready to leave. And the documentation wasn't approved until they received it, which apparently was done by our email being printed into a fax machine that was then telegraphed, translated to Braille, read aloud by a blind person to a parrot who then repeated it for a typist at the main office, given how long it took them to approve what I sent them. I believe that company paid relatively quickly, or at least every 30 days, but losing 3 hours of working hours on something that barely paid enough to cover 1 hour just wasn't worth it. Holy shit, dude, and listen to this. These reviews are from subcontractors and not customers. If any of them had a clue as to what it takes to achieve success in this type of arena, they would be far more gracious. Servicecom is a minority-owned business and amongst the fastest-growing service company in retail maintenance. The owner is amazing and driven to service her customers and pay her subcontractors. The problem is, what about the 5,000 subs that have built successful companies on the back of Servicecom? Trust me, they are not leaving bad reviews, they are too busy running legitimate businesses. Shannon has never not paid a vendor, and takes pride in this company she has built from scratch. This is one of the only positive reviews, and it's by someone who literally knows the owner directly and is basically calling the contractors who are leaving negative reviews shady because they have the balls to ask to be paid for their work. I mean, they should be happy to have the honor in the first place, right? They wouldn't have a business if it weren't for Servicecom. God, I hate companies like this. Literal grifters and thieves, whose grifting and thievery has gotten so big that they won't get in trouble anymore because they're rich. Fuck you, Joe Surdy. Edit. What really bugs me is, what about the 5,000 subs that have built successful companies on the back of Servicecom? What about them? Even if that were true, which I highly doubt, what does that have to do with the contractors who haven't gotten paid? Man, you've got me all riled up now. I hate this kind of shit. Low. Having grown up in charismatic Christian culture, it's heartbreaking how many folks fall for it. Hell, I did. I was indoctrinated in that particular religious group before I was even out of the womb. Lots of good, hard-working, and otherwise intelligent people have fallen victim to this, and it's totally acceptable. Fucking sucks seeing it from the outside after having been in it. I see a lot of comments here and other public forums calling the believers stupid or rubes or some other generally negative and dismissive insult. I have to tell you, as someone from that culture who broke out, they aren't. This whole thing is a result of generational indoctrination, going back in some cases 5 or 6 generations. It is a deeply ingrained worldview, insular in many ways but with a toe dipped in the pool of popular culture, just enough to keep the kids interested. I've known doctors and lawyers, college professors, city council members, and well-educated local government officials who are lifelong charismatic and who have raised their children and grandchildren in thus fashion. Your whole life, every aspect of it, is under scrutiny, while your entire support structure, family and friends, would take it as a personal attack if you espoused beliefs that even slightly varied from theirs. So, to folks who read the above comment and want to dismiss the practitioners, I ask that you judge the snake oil salesman in the $3,000 suit, not the folks who are victims of indoctrination and brainwashing. Former funeral home worker here. The funeral industry had a big scandal back in the 60s to 70s of funeral homes unselling and overcharging by massive margins, so the government cracked down in the form of regulations. Let me be clear, each U.S. state has different laws and regulations for their death industry, but for the most part funeral homes are required to give you a full pricing sheet, no hidden fees, when they first meet you. If you do not receive a price sheet, immediately go to a different funeral home. They also cannot block you from purchasing your own casket, grave, tombstone, etc. from private sellers directly, and then you just providing the funeral home with them. Please keep in mind that most people who become funeral directors do so because they feel they are called to. It's not a glamorous, well-paid, or even in most cases a well-respected profession. Some people are born into the industry, family lineage, but most go in because some event happens that causes them to seek out an apprenticeship. There is a big difference between those people who are trying to give your loved one a respectful last hooray and the people who own the funeral homes and probably step foot inside once a quarter to look at the books. Foreclosure rescue, aka equity stripping. You find a homeowner who's late on their mortgage but has equity, usually the elderly, and offer to hold the house in your name, pay off their mortgage and let them rent the house until they are back on their feet, and then you'll give it back to them when they can qualify for a new mortgage to pay you back. The real goal is for them to default on the rent so you can evict them and keep the house as well as the equity, and they end up with nothing. I think the people who run those companies are worse. They bring in staff who are commission only and promise the world to them. All this bullshit of getting your own consignment and then training in new people. Staff turnover is huge and you never become a manager. It's all bullshit. I did it for a while after school and before college, and they were trying to tell to skip university, which at the time was free in my country. Good luck with that, buddy. How low on the compass do you want to go? Bill collector, repo man? If you really get low, you can become a collections attorney. We've got a great one here in Atlanta. He gets debts for pennies on the dollar, even the badly verified debt. I'm told he even looks up names on the internet/phone book that matches the city and name of debtor. He then goes and mass files lawsuits at the clerk's office 2x a month. An average of 500 at a time. They send the proper notice and hearing date out, and about 60% of those don't reply or show. That means they lose automatically by default. Once the default has been recorded, he places a garnishment on their wages and then waits for them to contact him to settle. So he's usually got at least one paycheck from them at this point due to the garnishment. If they make any payment willingly, he uses it as proof that they own the debt, even if in fact they don't. But a payment plan of $100 a month for say 10 months is better than them not getting another paycheck and still under what typical attorney fees would be to fight it. Clerks at county court think he's lower than slime, but he makes an estimated 3/4-1 million a year easy. Honestly, they are so easy to get rid of, they don't even bother me anymore. As soon as I open the door, before they even start to speak, I just tell them the truth that fits their best interest. Look man, I know time is money for this kind of sales, so I'm not gonna waste yours. I'm not interested in buying, and I'm not gonna waste your time pretending like I will just for the sake of seeming polite. Good luck with the rest of your day, goodbye. I've had roommates that feel the need to let them down softly, and honestly I think it's best to just avoid wasting everyone's time. Be direct, but polite. Works every time for me. Most of them aren't really terrible people. They just got roped into a shit job and hate it. Step 1: small firm with large capital reserves buys established company. Step 2: gut company of every possible expense and then some. I.e. massive layoffs, move HQ to a shit area for as cheap as possible. Step 3: survive short term 1 quarter. While the quality of work suffers dramatically, they manage to stay in business due to their long-established reputation before the new reality catches up with them. Step 4: report quarterly earnings highlighting massive profits as their revenues stayed roughly the same, but they dramatically decreased operating costs and expenses, leading to an insanely high profit margin. Step 5: take the company public at valuation based off previous quarter, selling overpriced stock to unsuspecting general public. Step 6: profit massively and walk away, setting the company up to crumble and burn while destroying the livelihoods of everyone involved. They essentially buy, gut, and sell companies by taking them public, ruining it for all the employees and customers in order for a small group to make a large profit at the cost of so many others. Despicable but perfectly legal practice. I did pole dancing at a strip club without taking off my clothes and made a decent amount. I joined an online chat room where people would tip me just for me to reply to their messages on a camera. I sold feed pics for an insane amount. Probably more than everything else combined. I guess sex sells, and I've never had to take off my clothes. I would have made a lot more if I did low. Start a charity against something everyone hates. Collect money from people who want to feel good about themselves by doing nothing, pay your executives most of it, do nothing of tangible effect for the advertised goal, but appear to be real busy fighting it when anyone looks. See also, cancer charities, the unhoused, missing/foreign/underprivileged children, anti-terrorism/war. How have we not fixed it yet? Oh right, lots of people make money shadow boxing it forever and would lose out on that if they actually did their job and fixed it. $100? The group you're managing the pages for is making millions. Sign up for affiliate programs. Find a high dollar offer. Figure out what that offer's customer looks like. Set up social media on all the platforms. Direct the customers from social media to an email sign up. Set up an autoresponder for that email list. Convince those people that your solution is the best solution through multiple automated emails spread out over days. Then hit them with the offer. David Ogilvy wrote the book on direct marketing. The tools are different, but the methods stay the same.